What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Lucid, I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what just came out from Lucid itself and what shorts are up to. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is up 2.3%, 327 the low, 342 the high. And then you're having a lot of good volume today. So 72.3 million shares being traded, 80.2 is the average. So for a Friday, definitely this is fairly good. And there was one data point that came out. It wasn't all that great, but I feel like the market has just brushed that under the rug, and that was retail sales. So did come in negative 0.9, forecast was 0, flat. So all in all, not necessarily the best, but given just the momentum from the last couple of trading days, I feel like a lot of people are just focusing on that rather than looking at retail sales. And nonetheless, even what I did bring up in my pre-market video, I think in general, like the market wasn't really going to care so much about this. It was more so what Powell stated was going to be hot ones. So PPI and as well as CPI, and then of course coming up, PCE. But nonetheless, though, the market definitely is moving in the right direction. There was one thing that did come out that was from Lucid today. Lucid Gravity now available to configure and order for customers in Canada on the Lucid Motors website. So this is one thing that I have brought up in the past, that essentially in January they were doing a lot of PR blitzes kind of targeting Canada. So they wanted to kind of take over the North, which Trump wants to do the exact same. So why not Lucid? But nonetheless, there was one thing that I did want to share with you that I've kind of complained on in the past, and Lucid has seemed to have rectified it, because as you see, so the GT is at 134.5, so 94.9 in USD. So if we pop over to just the basic kind of search right here, and yes, Canadian dollar absolutely is garbage, but nonetheless, so you have that 94.9, switching it over, so it's 134.4, and so very close to what they have. In the past, Lucid has always done just a straight actual currency conversion, then they tack on 10%. They've done the exact same thing to Europe. I always saw that as extremely negative and more of a big deterrent for anyone to really go through with this. So I think Lucid has really worked with a lot of their kind of partners behind the scenes, and they have eliminated that extra boost or whatever you want to call it. So even in Germany, the latest data kind of shows that extra like 5 to 10% has been taken off. So it is just for the most part straight currency conversion. So I think that's a very, very positive thing nonetheless. Hopefully, as far as Canada goes, that whole tariff kind of scenario won't come, because then that will be an extra 25% tariff on these vehicles, or potentially 50, whatever they're kind of arguing. But nonetheless, though, I do see this as very optimistic. Only other thing I wanted to bring up was this. So Let's Go Lucid did post this, and so it does show the global luxury SUV market between 2025 and 2029. Clearly can't speak right now, but ultimately you are seeing a compound annual growth rate of estimated, of course, 11.8%. So that is huge. So this is why Lucid has really focused and kind of has a lot of their eggs in the Gravity basket, if that kind of makes sense. And even aside from that, so the midsize, the touring, so they're having a lot of hope that the SUV market is going to continue to grow. So assuming all of this does come to fruition, this future expectations, then I think Lucid should do fairly okay. But one additional thing I do want to bring up is across the board, you're seeing a lot of shorts, heavily shorted stocks over the last couple of trading days have small squeezes. Lucid has somewhat participated in that, and no different than today. So shorts right now are returning 4.37 million shares. 20.38% of the free float is being shorted. It works out to be 242.85 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average 1.86, and then utilization 85.5. So I think just going into today, it was more of a natural deterrent for shorts, because Monday the market's closed, so normally shorts like to return leading into long weekends, because that means they'll have to pay the cost to borrow for a day that they can't trade. So I think just going into today, shorts were already going to return. Now you had this very good positive market momentum that is just kind of stretching them out too far. So I think that's kind of a good thing. So hopefully Lucid has some extra maybe news in their pockets. And if they were to drop that right now, let's say a new licensing deal, hint, hint, wink, wink, then you'll see a pretty nice squeeze. So let me know your viewpoint on that. As far as today, 2.01 million in calls, 550,000 in puts, 48% of all the options being done today are bearish in nature though. Of the call options that are being purchased, you see a consensus for it to be above $4. And for the week of their earnings, you're starting to see more and more optimism. So roughly around that $4.50 to $5 range. Bears are anticipating for it to be kind of sub $3, but they've always figured that. With today being Friday and it at 331, you do have 3,000 at the 250 strike price for the open interest, and then 19,000 at that 3. So come Tuesday, or possibly even after hours today, you could see some abnormal buying, and that would be from market makers covering those 22,000 in open interest. So let me know your viewpoint on that. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So frequency kind of in line with the last couple trading days. So kind of a good thing. Dark pool, very, very popular as usual. You're not seeing those crazy transactions. That was just a one-off, as I brought up over the last couple of videos. But still, nonetheless, dark pool is very, very popular. And on a side note, dark pool is often enough linked to shorting and all that other fun jazz. But with it right now at $3.32, trading between this R1 and the pivot. So $3 is going to be a strong support. $3.40 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. And it kind of bounced off of that for the high. So going into next week, just watch for that R1 to be kind of the next strong target. And while I'm actually on here, so you don't see any new analyst ratings. Last one came out was yesterday. It's a benchmark, Michael, who has a 44% success rating. So not really new information. Still good information, mind you, but not new information. On a side note, if you do want all of this information to be completely free, I recommend you signing up for IBKR. I have a link in the description below and also the comments for all of it to be completely free. So you can have analyst ratings, forecasts, ownership, everything under the sun to make your investing life easier. But nonetheless, though, looking on the actual chart with it at 331, no different than yesterday, you're seeing a lot of good optimism. So it is above all the key pivotal moving averages. Only negative thing I wanted to bring up is the fact that it is rather overbought. And I think that's fair given what has happened over the last little bit. So meaning if there is a negative piece of news that does come out, let's say associated to Lucid, or possibly even, let's say, on a larger scale macro standpoint, then you could see some volatility. But I think Lucid's still above all the key pivotal moving averages. It can still consolidate without breaking its own technicals. So let me know your viewpoint on all of that. A lot of people as well on social media are forecasting about the PIF having, was it like 75%? So I just wanted to kind of clear the air. As of right now, based on all of the filings, you have 74.21%. That is held by the PIF. So I've seen some people go back and forth saying, hey, they haven't submitted their latest forms or whatever else. As of right now, it is 74.21. So even more reason to sign up for IBKR because you have all this information. So with all that said, appreciate all of you watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point and bangers. Even put out one for Lucid recently because it's been building some pretty good momentum. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.